You are off the clock with Trish and Steve. Hey, Steve Bose.
Hey, Trish, how are you?
Was it hat day? I neglected to wear my hat today.
Every day is hat day, Trish, when you're follically challenged, as I am.
You know what? Could I tell you? I won't say which client it was, but I got on an early morning call with a client, um, and she was in the cutest, like really like furry hat and her little furry jacket. And I thought, you know what?
Like
I love
outside somewhere?
what?
Was she outside somewhere?
She had been outside and she had just come in and she was still cold. And I
Ah,
say this because I love that we're now at this point in the pandemic and in video calls and all the things. Like you can legit just show up to a call as yourself. You don't have to get all fancied up, wear your hat, wear your whatever, your scarf, whatever you need. I don't know. In that way, I'm glad that I feel like we're not as stuffy as we were 2 years ago. What do you think about that?
yeah, probably. But before 2 years ago, though, you didn't have to do anything for these meetings or calls because they were all just audio, right? They were just every 90% of the
You
calls you
are.
did or work calls were not video calls. I did not do very many video calls prior to the pandemic. Hardly any.
They were, but what I really hope it changes is more that we've seen look, I can put on a suit and do this show. I could wear my pajamas and do this show, or I could just like today I just got a plain t-shirt kind of thing. But like it doesn't matter. You are still smart and you can still communicate and do great things regardless of what you wear,
You're
right? So
smarter if you put a suit on, probably.
I
But
think I do look smarter if I have a suit on.
well, I've
I,
got good news, Trish. I just read this,
what?
and I think we can trust this person. He's got some experience with this whole deal.
All right.
The CEO of Moderna, Trish, the Moderna
All
company
right.
that's
Sure.
well known for making hundreds of millions, if not billions,
Coursing through my veins
of
as we speak.
vaccines. His name is Stefan Bancel. Hope I said that right. And he has
Okay.
declared, Trish, in an interview, the pandemic is going to end this year, but he thinks at-risk people and older people will likely need booster shots probably annually for a while. How about that? Pandemic going to end,
Wow.
according
I
to
mean,
Moderna CEO. Here's the
it's
thing, Trish. I wonder though. I'm just going to throw this out there.
yeah.
I'll be glad for it to end. That's my position. Will there be people who are not so excited about it ending? And I'm thinking more about people who are going to be, say, forced to go back to work or
Mhm.
forced to go back and maybe do business travel that they maybe don't want to do. Although I suppose they could probably get another job. The market's still really good. I
Right.
wonder though, or just have to interact more because the pandemic's been pretty good. Like if you're an introvert or you're not too social or you're a little socially,
Yeah.
just not feeling it a lot. Like I'll tell you what, I'm like all those things a lot of the time. Pandemic's been good for us who've been able to just say, nah, I can't do that. No, pandemic. What? Come for Christmas and stay for 5 days? No, can't
No,
do
you know
that.
what? That's an interesting perspective, Steve,
I'm
because
sitting in my house.
I'm an extrovert, if you haven't noticed, and I get energy from interaction with other people, but I feel like that was really hard at the beginning, but I do feel like people have kind of figured out ways to make video interactions enough of that I don't need it. And actually, when I do travel or something, for personal reasons, and a couple I've done for business, I'm now anxious. I was not an anxious person pre-pandemic, and now I'm, like, anxious when I
Mm.
have to go do those things. So, I don't know. I think we're gonna see a lot of different, I don't know, people things to talk about when people have to start going back to offices and workplaces, but for now, we are still in a pandemic. You know what's really sad? Hey, I know we don't normally talk politics, and not that I wanna get all political, even today, but I think it'd be remiss if we don't mention what's going on in the Ukraine. Have you watched much of the news? Like, I'm not a
I've watched some. Yeah, it's hard. You certainly can't avoid it, and it's an important story and kind of a tragic one as well.
I was just gonna say, I think that it will be interesting to follow it from a work perspective because on a lot of levels, because who knows how long this will go. It's extremely horrific to watch on TV. Like, I was, like, sitting there this morning. I woke up at 2:30 this morning, Steve, turned on the
Mm.
news because I was wide awake,
Feels
and,
early.
and just seeing helicopters and tanks and bombs and things like this, and, um, I would say this, from a work perspective, I would love to hear if people have employees that are there.
Mhm.
Kind of what are their stories? How are they handling that? How are they supporting employees that may be there? And also, there are a lot of people who live in the United States who are from there, but
Mhm.
working here, who have family there. So I'm wondering if we're going to start seeing and hearing some stories of how employers can support their employees who have loved ones there that
Yeah.
might be in danger that they might not even be able to get a hold of. So again, probably a good opportunity for workplaces to think through where are your employees from, what is their background, and then what can you do to put in place and actually support them in a way, right? Mental health days I know have been big for other reasons. Yet another reason that we really do need our employees to be able to talk about these things and share what they're dealing with, right?
Yeah.
Beyond the pandemic. So anyway, um, what else? What else is going on? I feel like I
Uh,
haven't seen much.
yeah, I had some notes. I collect notes throughout the week. I'll just throw out a couple of them since it's Friday. Trish, the birth rate in the United States, I don't know if you're following this story, has
Every
fallen
day.
has fallen 20% since 2007. When we
Okay.
had the last recession, the financial
Mhm.
crisis and that recession back in '08 or so, the
Yeah,
the birth rate fell really quickly, right? Because lots of people were out of jobs. The
sure.
economic prospects were very, very uncertain for quite a while. So the rate fell really quickly, which makes sense, right? In a tough economic environment, people are less likely to say, let's go start having more kids or 8 kids at all. But the rate's not come back. It's not come back at all through the extended economic recovery rate that's happened since the recession. And Trish, according to the data that I read, it's fallen across pretty much every demographic that you can look at: age cohort, race,
Really?
education level, all of them. Yeah, no matter what, it's gone down. How about that? And
That's interesting. Do you think, though, that with the pandemic, it will go up?
nope,
Because as people are
I don't, but go
you
ahead.
don't?
No, I
I
don't.
think it might. I think it might because you're having people back together,
I don't
maybe
know,
taking
but
a
wouldn't
little
you? So maybe though,
afternoon
people who
delight,
are, but maybe
no?
people who are already sort of co-located, they spent more time together. But also, though, wouldn't you have had another cohort of people who haven't really been out in the dating scene all that much for a couple of years, right? Because that would have
Oh,
been
that's true.
terribly restricted, or
Yeah,
for a long time. I don't know. So how about
I
that?
guess we can follow along.
Maybe the world will not be overpopulated after all, because Japan, China, here, I don't know about India, which is probably the other one that's like the most population country. I don't know what the
Right.
birth rate's going on there, but I know in China and in Japan and here, really
Mhm.
populated countries,
Way
birth rates
down.
are way, way, way down. And in fact, in China, they're really worried about it. They're really worried about being able to sort of take care of an aging population, right, who are no longer working, right? And that's
Yeah,
a very real thing. Yeah. How about
yeah,
that?
absolutely.
I got one
Ab
more for you. More fun than birth rates or
Yeah, let's
pandemics.
talk something more fun than birth rates.
Trish, do you have Krispy Kreme in your area? You have a retail location
Close
to get
enough,
to?
yes. About 45
So
minutes away, but yes.
it's a little bit of a drive. Might be worth it for this. Krispy Kreme and Twix, the Twix candy bar you may
Ooh,
be
that's one
familiar
of my
with,
favorites.
have announced a collaboration. It's going on for a couple more weeks until March 6th. You can get a donut, like an oblong donut with
Oh, Long John.
a whole Twix bar cooked inside of it.
What?
And then like chocolate on the outside and more Twixy stuff on top. I would eat that. Absolutely would eat that entire donut with the Twix
I
bar
am
inside.
I have been so good
They
trying to
talked about we're
I'm
not innovating anymore in this country. That's
gonna
boom. That's innovation right there.
that is innovation. I've been trying to eat so good. I'm trying to do maintenance weight now because I've lost some weight. That's not gonna help me. That makes me actually wanna go drive. Thank God there's an ice storm outside my window because otherwise I think I'd be heading to Krispy
Well,
Kreme.
just eat only 3 or 4 of them. You'd be fine.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. No, you know what? It is a Friday. Do you know what I'm gonna do this weekend? I'm gonna do a little reading.
Okay.
I got a book. I think you actually got it too. Untapped Talent,
I did get that book
right?
in my
How
mail.
Second Chance Hiring Works for Your Business and the Community. Jeffrey Korzenik. And the reason this is really good, we're actually going to have him on the podcast soon. But the reason that I think it's important is one thing I had always done when I worked in HR was for most of my jobs, it was preferable if we tried to hire people who might have had a criminal record,
Mhm.
but have been rehabilitated, trying to get back on their feet. I hired so many good workers in my career in HR that had that type of background. And so we're going to talk about that. But I definitely want to read the book. I've started it and it's good so far. So I don't know. That's kind of on the agenda for this weekend. What about
Nice.
you? Anything fun for the weekend coming up?
Uh, no, I'll probably spend most
Mhm.
of my time watching soccer, barbecuing, and exercising, and the rest of my time I'll probably just squander.
There you go. I do have, I'm going to have to practice some bowling because I'm apparently been roped into, not this weekend, but next weekend, doing like a bowling fundraiser for my daughter's school. And
Mm.
and she has to like assemble a team, right? And we don't have to be the best bowlers, but I have to tell you, it's kind of intimidating. It'd be one thing if she were just like a high school bowler, maybe she had like a 150 average, 160 average, something like that.
Mhm.
And then my little 90 pins that I could get would maybe kind of make me feel like I'm contributing. If your kid is like a state level bowler, I don't even know why. She pities me. I think that's why I
Mm.
get to bowl with her. So I need to go
Bowling,
practice.
yeah, it looks easy, but it's more difficult than you think.
I
I
just
chalk
want
it
to
up as one
get
of those activities.
I know, I just wanna get 100 pins. Watching her, she makes it look like it's like a dance, right? It's very graceful. I'm out there, it's very clunky. I've
You
got
might
my
need to
house
try
ball.
is put one of those bowling balls in each hand and throw two of them down there at the same time. That might improve your odds. Is that allowed?
Oh,
I don't know. Might as well be.
I don't know, I have to ask if I can use the bumpers. I'm just not very good. So, anyway, so that's this weekend. Hey, I hope everyone has a great weekend. There's a huge storm kind of through half the country, so I think people should stay in, stay warm, all those things. Listen to some old episodes of the HR Happy Hour podcast, right? Catch up on
Always,
that.
always a great weekend activity.
It is a great weekend activity. Oh, you know what else? Before we go, how are you doing on the Oscar nominated movies? Are you watching them?
I have not been.
No.
So yeah, I guess I'll have to do some of that this weekend.
I've watched
Watch
most.
one.
I've watched most at this point in the major categories. And I don't know, man. Some are so good and some it's really rough.
Hmm.
It's just a rough year for movies. So I don't know. I wouldn't even recommend going to the movies right now. It's
It's
bad.
pandemic. I'm not going.
It's pandemic. All right. Hey, listen, everyone. Thanks as always for sticking with Steve and I. We will see you back here on Monday to go off the clock. Have a great weekend.